All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for coming. We are missing a few people, but we'll just invite them in as they come in. Hopefully they'll do it very quietly. My name is Shiri Malcolm Gadassi. I am a psychedelic integration coach. Some of the things I do is I help people integrate and prepare, meaning before and after psychedelic experiences with psychoactive substances and other plant medicines. I work mostly here in Los Angeles. I also organize community events like this. This room is our home, pretty much. I host community integration circles twice a month here, so they're open meetings for people to come in and share about their psychedelic experiences. It's kind of like Psychedelics Anonymous, but we're totally not anonymous. We're totally open. So we meet here twice a month. And then about once a month, we also have this series, which is called the Shamanic Practices series, where we talk about, or we bring in specialists that specifically work with plant medicines that are supportive of integration, specifically, as far as I'm concerned about the integration practice. And today is very special because our guest is not local, Xavier Regueiro.
Regueiro. I know. Try saying that on Ayahuasca.
Actually, might be easier, actually. Right? Came all the way from the Amazon, actually. Came from Peru, where he is the founder of Ayahuasca Healing Center for Plant Medicines, and he practices plant medicine ceremonies. And how long have you been doing that for?
11 years.
For 11 years, quite a long time. We were very fortunate to have been introduced by a mutual friend who's not here tonight, unfortunately. But we're just very glad to have him here. It's such a beautiful opportunity. He will tell you a little bit about himself, and we are going to talk about the shamanic practice of plant diets, working with master plants to enhance our spiritual, physical, and mental well-being. We'll talk about the preparation, engagement, as well as he authored 2 books, one of which came out very recently. That's why he's here in LA to promote his new book, San Pedro and Hachuma. And of course, we have copies here available for sale, and Javier can also sign them for you guys. So this will be at the end. Any questions or any concerns? Anyone wants to just introduce themselves before we get started? Cool. So
is the air fresh enough for you guys, or you need a little bit?
It still feels hot. I'm going to turn down the AC a little more. And hopefully it'll work in just a second. Hi, come in. And without further ado, I want to welcome Javier.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time to be here. Thank you for driving all the way here. Thank you, Cherie, for inviting me to speak here.
Thank you.
And thank you to Kathmandu Buddhi for having us. I was born in Switzerland from Spanish parents, and back in 2005, a year after my first visit to the Amazon jungle to drink ayahuasca, I decided to study plant medicine and have since moved to Peru to pursue both my apprenticeship and my work with plant medicines. Creating my own healing center, and actually I'm in the process of closing it. My healing center is outside the city of Cusco in the mountains, and I'm actually moving it's a process that's going to last anything between 1 and 3 years, moving to the jungle outside Iquitos to take over my teacher's healing center and continue his legacy. And my teacher, Don Francisco Montes, doesn't really serve ayahuasca. What he does, he supports people in plant shamanic diets. That's really his specialty. And shamanic plant diets are, by the way, everything I tell you is just my viewpoint. If you find it useful, great. If not, just dismiss it. Shamanic plant diets in the Amazon are engaged in for personal healing as well as for learning. In both cases, the process is identical. Just what changes is the intention, the goal. I have drank the vast majority of my ayahuasca within the shamanic plant diet process. And the diet process is the most powerful process I have engaged in so far, and I've been around the block a few times, like most of them. Drinking ayahuasca and the diet process are often confused in Western circles. But there are many differences, and at the same time many similarities. First of all, I want to share with you my belief that the more powerful the process, the more delicate it is. The more powerful the process, the greater care in preparation, the greater care in support as the process is unfolding, and the greater care and challenges in integrating that experience. Say, for instance, I drink ayahuasca, and this is welcome. Now, say for instance, smoking DMT, even though some of the psychoactive agents are identical, is a much stronger experience. DMT is synthesized as a concentrate. It's a concentrate, and therefore the experience can take us much, much further. But because of the power of that experience, the greater challenge in integrating that experience. There's a lot of people walking on this planet these days who have had very, very powerful DMT experiences, and they have no idea what to do with that sort of information and that experience. The further out there we go, the more challenging it is to ground that experience in our everyday life. And I'm very happy to speak to a circle that is focused on integration, because for me integration is the most important and oftentimes the more challenging part of this process. So plant diets are very powerful. And therefore, as we sign up for them, we need to be aware of what we're signing up for and make sure that our support system is solid enough before, during, and after. Plant medicine is plant medicine. Please come in. Meaning, where are you? Meaning that we are engaging with plants. Meaning that this is an organic process. This is a natural process. It's a process that has deep wisdom. It has, first of all, the wisdom of the plants we engage with, and then it has the wisdom of hundreds, possibly thousands of years of careful experimentation and exploration. It is a yoga. It is a discipline. Our Western mindset that is always focused on effectiveness, on results, and the best way and the fastest way to get what we hope to get is very insidious, because we knock at this door we long for, we are hungry for whatever wisdom, whatever healing is available within an ancestral tradition. And within 2 days, we find ways to improve upon it, to take out the uncomfortable parts. Say, for instance, you know what, that puking on ayahuasca, that's kind of uncomfortable. I think I'm just going to smoke DMT. I don't even have to fast. It's fabulous. This attitude that we carry as Westerners is very pervasive. Oftentimes it is unconscious. But first of all, is disrespectful. We knock at this door, we come in as guests, and before we know it, we set up the rules of the house, or break them. Because as white people, or sort of white, we just know better. Don't we? So it's very important whenever we engage in a spiritual or healing tradition that is not our own, to be respectful. And whenever we find our own arrogance, our own I know better attitude resurfaces, to notice it and to put it to rest, so that we can actually benefit from something that we intuit could be beneficial to us. So, I'm going to point out a few aspects, a few rules of the house. First of all, this is a natural process. It's a natural process that is aware of who we are as multidimensional beings, as physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. When I moved to Peru and I started the construction of my healing center, I told myself these very words. I said, Javier, until this place is completed, you can forget all about your lofty spiritual aspiration. From now until completion, your exercise is going to be an exercise in patience. We all struggle with that one, right? And yet, patience is a virtue that we either start practicing voluntarily and with humility, or that's going to kick us in the ass. In my work over the years, I increasingly value the importance of timing in this process, because there are certain biological, physiological processes that cannot be speeded up, and actually where time is of essential importance. My teacher, for instance, to this day, it was the only thing that ayahuasqueros in Iquitos would agree upon. That ayahuasca ceremony was on Tuesday and Friday nights. And to this day, that's what my teacher does. Over the last 20 years, in order to fulfill the desires and expectation of hungry, impatient Westerners, we have now in the jungle and elsewhere in Peru, people offering processes that are so intense that if you go to the medicine person and you say, would you have your own son go through this? They would say, no fucking way. They do this because that's become their livelihood in an area where scarcity is an everyday reality. They do this because they need to keep a competitive edge, because I have only 1 week and I need to drink ayahuasca at least 5 times, and if you're not going to give it to me, I'm going to go next door. And yet timing is essential. Slowing down for us who are always in a hurry is an important, necessary medicine. Slowing down just enough to get out of our heads, to connect with our emotions, with our feelings, to actually feel where we are and how we are doing. So timing is essential. Patience is essential. It is for this reason that I've never bothered to take anybody through a diet for less than 3 weeks. For me, a diet with any single plant less than 3 weeks, you're being sold an empty box. And I'm going to explain why. Come in.
I apologize.
So it's great. You know, oftentimes I meet people, they're coming from the jungle. Yes, I did a diet, 1 week, 3 trees. I said, which trees? Oh, I don't remember. Okay, that says it all. Plant diets come from a very important assumption. The assumption is that everything is alive. Everything has a unique energy, an energy that expresses itself in unique ways with a unique flavor. Humans, rocks, clouds, animals, plants, rivers, you name it. So, this is not me ingesting some chemicals that are gonna strangely interact with my own brain and whatever else chemistry. That would be highly reductionist. This is actually a meeting, a connecting, a merging, a dancing of our own energy with the energy of a plant. Many of you have experienced that connection and interaction drinking Ayahuasca or Xavier or whatever else. With plant diets, the process is the same. But you know, if what we know as master plant teachers, say Ayahuasca or Peyote or San Pedro, who I consider the most easily audible plants, and they're really the spokes plants of the plant kingdom to us. Most other plants are not as loud. Many of them barely whisper. So in order to hear them, in order to feel them, we need first of all to quieten our minds, to slow down, and to be patient. If you're looking for high kicks, this is not what we do. If you're looking for instant gratification, you better go somewhere else. This is about engaging with humility in a relationship, in a friendship. And friendships don't happen overnight. Yes, there may be a spark, but then that friendship needs to be nurtured. It needs to be engaged in. And that takes time. when I first went to the jungle, I was there for 11 days, strict diet, plant diet. And how it was going on is that I would be given a picture of my medicine delivered to my hut every day, say just drink freely. Okay, cool. The next year, I was lucky enough to meet Don Francisco, who then became my teacher. And at the time, at his center was also an American guy, Kevin Furness, who's now dead, who had been apprenticing with my teacher for almost 2 years by that time. And I was fortunate enough to have Don Francisco oversee my diet and Kevin taking me through it, teaching me what was possible in this process. And it wasn't about just drinking freely from a carafe. They both taught me the importance of engaging in this process, to actually meet the plant, whatever plant I was dying. With them, I've learned to actually drink my medicine morning and evening ritually with prayers, to connect, to actually go to the plant that I was dying, to sit with it, to make offerings, to talk to it, to sing to it. When I returned to my teacher's place to begin what was my apprenticeship, soon into it, I'm like, Xavier, chances are that further down the line, you're gonna look at all this, at you talking and singing to this plant and making offerings of tobacco. Totally ridiculous. So you know what? Just enjoy it. Enjoy it. Engage, enjoy it, so that you're gonna have no regrets. In the Andes, one of the main principles of Andean life is the principle of Aini. It's a Quechua word that translates as reciprocity or mutuality. By that principle, we reap what we sow. By that principle, we receive from life exactly as much as we're willing to offer life. So the more one engages with the plant that one is dying, the more one will receive from it. So the less distractions, the more space, the more silence, the more focus for this connection to unfold. Which is why plant diets are engaged in a relative, if not total seclusion. Usually, traditionally, people would simply go out into the jungle by themselves and just deal with it. Nowadays, many centers that cater to both foreigners and non-foreigners are organized as individual huts where food is brought to you, because cooking is not really, unless you're by yourself, cooking is really not allowed in a diet process, just like exposure to sunlight. And people are invited to spend as much time by themselves as possible. Plant diets are a yoga that, just like most yogas, are about eliminating as much as possible any sensory input, any sensory distractions. Light, noise, music, even movement. A big part of it is the proper food diet. The food diet is devoid of all salt and spices, as well as sugar. My teacher, for instance, he serves no fruit in the diets. That's just too appealing, too good to be true. So what we're doing is we are avoiding any distraction, any sensory distraction that fill our senses. They fill them to the point that our more subtle antennas are clogged. That wider, less clogged space, then we can access those subtler energies, those subtler messages, insights, and thoughts. That the avoidance of chatter that is just meant to distract us, of spending a whole day just reading or writing, but it's just in that stillness. In the process of plant diets, ayahuasca is known as the mother of all plants, because ayahuasca ceremonies are an opportunity to connect deeper with the plant that one is dying. So she's the mother because she opens the way to deeper connection to all other plants. It is through the ingestion of ayahuasca that people in the jungle have connected with the healing properties, with the spirits, with the energies of most other plants, of most other energies of the jungle. So she's the mother of all plants. So when we drink ayahuasca in a plant diet process, course, we are engaging with ayahuasca. And most importantly, we are connecting with the plant. The first time that I drank ayahuasca, the person who was to become my teacher, there were there like 7-8 people who had been there anywhere between 2 weeks and 2 years. And in that ceremony, all the plants of this forest came to welcome. And they were like, "Oh, we're so happy you're here." And I'm like, "I'm happy too." In the diet process, in the songs, we not only call the energy of ayahuasca, but we call the energy of all the plants that people present are dieting. And it's an amazing experience because actually the ceremonial space is like a big party. And it's a big party because actually through the diet process, everybody is carrying the energy of the plant that they're dieting. If we are engaging in the process as we ideally ought. Through the diet process, we integrate the energy, the qualities of the plant that we're dieting within ourselves. And they become lifelong friends. For instance, I carry energy of all the plants that I've dieted. So much so that I can share it energetically with people in ceremony and outside of ceremony. I've even had the experience. This happened 2 years ago. I was dieting a plant, but I was spending a fair bit of time with my student. We were both there as participants. She was dieting a different plant that I had actually already dieted, but she was dieting already. And one night in ceremony, soon into the ceremony, this Icaro of this other plant that my friend was dieting, an Icaro that I just heard once, just started going in my head. So much so that I asked my teacher, I said, "Can you please sing it?" He didn't. What happened was, that night, this other plant, not the plant that I was dieting, came and started a very, very profound healing process right here on my belly. She started, and then at some point, this other tree came in. And then this other plant came in, and finally I was like, "Well, you're all welcome, just do whatever you want." Such is the power. Such is the power. I mean, all of you, whatever medicine you have ingested in the past, you carry that energy. And it's not just that it's in your cells. That vibration has transformed you you're embodying, you're integrating the wisdom that you have received. It's your energy and also the wisdom of this plant. So we have cyborgs, but what are the ones who are like half human and half plants? What's the name? Should make a movie about it. Now, this is of course my belief, my experience, my viewpoint. Yeah? I believe that my world, my experience, my life is completely my show. Not that I'm that self-centered, but I take responsibility for my experience of the world, my perception of the world are my own shit. So, even though I deeply acknowledge the power of these plants and this process, I always bring it back to me. And in that doing, whenever I engage with a plant, my experience is that the plant is actually mirroring back to me the qualities that I perceive in that plant, but that are already within myself. They act as a reminder. Make me remember those energies within myself. They don't give me anything, even though, but these are teachers, and any teacher worth their name, their main role is to reflect back to us our own light, our own gifts, our own shadow. And my experience is that each different plant that I have guided has reawakened within myself that particular quality that plant embodies. Does that make sense? Yeah. It's an amazing process. When people come to me for a retreat, I speak about the medicine and the ceremonies, I work a lot with intentions. I actually meet everybody individually before each ceremony to speak about their intentions. So I speak already in general about intentions. And I tell them, I say, I firmly believe that everything that we're seeking, that we're longing for, that we're looking for, is already within ourselves. All of it. So, I say for instance, well, maybe you're here because just a nice injection of courage. I said, great. If that were the case, I would not go to the medicine and say, please give me some courage. Daime, daime. I would ask, please help me let go of whatever prevents me from fully stepping into my courage. As long as we ask outside ourselves, we only reinforce the belief that we are nothing.
It's okay. It's okay.
I think we need to ask him if he's okay or not.
This is very important because plant medicine is an ancestral discipline that is no different than any other spiritualism. And any spiritual discipline worth its name is all about supporting us in remembering our divinity, our own innate perfection, despite the paradoxes and challenges of the earthly experience. So it's important, even though with plants, yes, we do receive gifts, we do receive blessings. It's always important to remember, as far as I'm concerned, that they're just mirroring back to us our own strength, our own power, our own medicine, our own unique gifts. Plant diets, just like ayahuasca, is primarily a purificatory process. It's a cleansing process. That cleansing process is always going to happen on any levels that we may need, not wish for. It's important to remind ourselves when we get a little too whiny and complaining that this is medicine, that this is not a place for our egos to dictate how the process should unfold. So it's primarily a cleansing process. It's not about vision. It's not about going around feeling like $1 million baby. No. It's about cleaning, letting go of the debris, of the shit that prevents us from fully shining. And the plants are the doctors. So when we go and knock at the doctor's office, and we make an appointment, and we're scheduled for surgery, we're on that surgery bed, we don't get up every 2 minutes and say, well, this hurts. Why don't you do it like this? You don't. If you start doing that, you get more anesthesia until you're completely out and out of the way, because some important work needs to happen. And it's not going to happen according to our wishes or expectations. tell you about the beginning of my apprenticeship. Now, my teacher didn't really know it was the beginning of my apprenticeship. But I visited him earlier in the year, and I was like, you're the one. During that 1 month that I visited him the first time, I fell in love with an Icaro. Icaros are carry the vibration of the plant. In many traditions, including my teachers, every plant has specific Icaros. And by actually singing that song, what we're actually bringing in is the vibration of the plant. By singing it to someone, we bring that energy into the person's being. And Icaros, because they are extensions of plants, they are as seductive as plants themselves are. So I fall in love with this innocent Icaro, and before I know it, this plant, it was actually the Datura plant, says to me, I just decided I wanted to actually be of service to these medicines on 2 weeks earlier. Speaks to me and says, if you come and work with me, I'm going to give you everything you need to start beginning the work with Ayahuasca, meaning Ayahuasca ceremony. Very seductive. So seductive that despite my best intentions, so I was like, in that moment, I was like, okay, I'm gonna come, but I'm gonna come next year after the rainy season. Okay? Let me go to Mexico, this and that, and then I'll come back. I promise. And I was sincere. I left the jungle every time I would drink anything mind-altering. The doctor was like, so when are you coming? When are you coming? Like I told you, April, May at the latest. Every time. Well, I don't know what happened, but December 1st, beginning of the rainy season, I'm in the jungle to begin this diet that I knew would be at least 4 months long. Like I said, the more powerful the process, the greater care. Now, say for instance, the Tura is a very, very powerful medicine. It can also drive you crazy. That's why the Datura plant hates daydreamers, curious ones. They have nothing better to do and they just take some seeds and they ingest it. They go crazy for 24 hours with a visit to the emergency room, and then they're spat out without any single memory of what happened, except everybody else around them telling them what fools they were. So I knew that this was going to be a long, long diet. I go, we sit in ceremony, my teacher checks with the plant, and actually the diet as it was revealed to him, because of course we're all unique beings with unique needs. So, ready-made formulas don't really work. In the same way that everybody needs a very specific amount of ayahuasca. And that amount may actually vary with time. Because one of the principles, the goals, but also ruling principles of any spiritual path is about being in the moment, making no assumptions, letting go of any schemes or any preconception, and just being as much as possible in the present. I've had so many people coming to me, they drank ayahuasca before elsewhere, and I give them my medicine, what I feel is the right dose. And I usually drink more than that. No two ayahuasca brews are the same. Plus, you're not the same person that you were the last time you drank ayahuasca. How can you tell? Trust me. I know what I'm doing here. Sort of, kind of. Yeah. Then if you want more, good. I'll give you more. Don't worry about it. It's good. Oh, that was perfect. Oh, yeah, right. Okay, good. Next. So he checks in ceremony about my diet process. And the diet was revealed to him. It's very beautiful. Very beautiful. It actually consisted the first month of drinking twice a day a tea of the roots of the plant. Yeah.
Don't drink the flowers.
The second month, once a week, it was drinking the raw juice of the trunk. The third month, it was a tea of the leaves. And the fourth month, it was the first 2 weeks, a tea of the flowers closed, and then of open flowers. And the last month, also drinking a special brew that made for me of ayahuasca with toy, with them. Doesn't it sound amazing?
Yeah.
It was shite. It started well. The first month is tea of the roots. Roots are used in Amazonian shamanism primarily for cleansing processes. Roots have this built-in ability to filter things. So roots are always used primarily for purification. A very common plant for people beginning this process is to diet ajo sacha. Ajo sacha is a very sweet, very powerful plant, and what we do is a fresh tea juice of the roots, for instance. So I'm starting this process, and it's nice. During those first 4 weeks, what I feel is that the plant is polishing me like it's polishing a crystal. process with traditional plant medicine that is so focused on cleansing. The process is actually to cleanse, strengthen, and also keeping flexible, supple enough the cauldron of our own being. And from the strength, the suppleness, and the purity of that cauldron is what makes it possible for our own wisdom to resurface to our conscious awareness. All my life, I've been looking outside myself for answers, for gifts, powers, what have you. And I read plenty of time that everything is already inside of me. I guess I didn't believe it really. So I kept looking outside myself. And in that very beginning of my apprenticeship with the tour guide, I experienced the truth of that idea. That it's the diet process, the medicine process, is one of preparing our own cauldron so that our own wisdom can resurface. Can resurface and can actually be held by our being. There are people who have fortuitous, amazing experiences, particularly with psychedelics, plant medicine, but also through initiations, sometimes just through a yoga practice. And they're catapulted into a state of awareness that, as powerful as it is, they can't really hold. Some of these people, many, have ended up in psychiatric wards. Others go into complete amnesia, like they don't even remember. Their consciousness is so unable to hold that awareness. And many others turn into messianic fools, completely delusional, going around wanting to save the world. I'm the second coming of Jesus, as if Jesus coming once was not good enough.
Why?
Huh?
Why?
Why what? Because they're delusional. They're not able to actually hold that awareness. It's like they had the experience, but they missed a few steps. Their being, whether it's physical, emotional, mental, or spiritual, their cauldron is not ready to hold that awareness.
Still protecting it.
Huh?
Still protecting it.
Well, it's just not time yet. You know, we now are able to have access to spiritual processes and medicines that actually traditionally require years of just cleaning the toilets. There was a whole process of actually preparing the character to cleanse the purity of the heart, the humility, the patience that are very important later on along the journey. We are speeding up a process that can only be sped so much. And even when we speed it up, there are never any shortcuts. And there are no extensions. No matter how delusional we are about it, there are no shortcuts. Because this is an organic process. And it's a wise process. It has the wisdom for us to actually, if we have the patience and the humility to engage in it, to actually build, to create solid foundations, strong walls. Only when you're ready, we're going to build a terrace and achieve an excellent territory. Not according to our egos. So this was a very powerful experience that first month. But I say it was shite. Because as I keep starving myself and puking, I couldn't help. When I first received the invitation from the Datura plant, I couldn't help but create a Hollywood movie of what that process was going to be. And I was going to be seeing energies and these and that. The 3 months into it, I'm like, nothing much is happening. And many of us have had that same moment in an Ayahuasca ceremony. Nothing much is happening. What's wrong? What's wrong with the medicine? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with the moon? What's wrong with Venus? It turned out that what I really needed in order to begin doing my work with Ayahuasca was a serious taming of my ego that had no glamour whatsoever. It was about patience. It was about trust. It was about putting aside my expectations, putting aside my dreams of, shamanic fantasies. But I continued eating this crap food that I was served every day. I continued sitting in ceremony with my teacher every Tuesday and Friday night. I continued drinking by myself every Sunday night. I continue losing weight. Every now and then, I continue losing my faith that this was actually beneficial, that I was getting what I was coming looking for. And it was only towards the very last 4th month the profound shift had been actually unfolding all along. And I could only notice that when I first went in, all I knew from my teacher was that the Datura plant is a wonderful plant to connect with celestial energies. That's all he said. And wow, after 4 months, finally this heavenly celestial realm started, that fog, that my own fog that prevented me from connecting with it started dissipating. And in the end I could see that the plant had indeed kept her promise. It was just not what I had expected. Of course, you know, she couldn't tell me this at the beginning, otherwise I would not have signed up for it. So my own expectations and delusions served me well. Because they say, no, you're gonna be just, this was gonna be boring for 4 months. I would have gone to Mexico. The plant diet process, just like medicine process, is a deeply mysterious one. It's as mysterious as the great mystery that we are. Oftentimes, we become aware of important shifts long after the effects of the medicine have subsided. Sometimes we finish a ceremony and we're like, whatever. Or what was that? And then, you know, weeks later you go like, oh, I get it. Yeah. The ways of the spirit, of spirit, have a logic. There is a logic to the madness. But it's a logic that eludes the ability of our rational mind to grasp. And we just have to make peace with that. Just that's part of our surrendering to the medicine, or surrendering to the process. We have to surrender sooner or later our attachment to understanding. When we let go of that attachment to understanding rationally, we make the space for a deeper understanding, for wisdom, for the wisdom of the universe to reveal itself to us. But if we're stubbornly just trying to get it with our little brains, there's no space to hear any of it, let alone embody it and eat it.
We have to get to the healing portion.
Okay. Yes. Last but not least, very important to remind ourselves that for us to engage in this process, whether it's an ayahuasca ceremony or it's a plant diet, is a privilege. It's not a right. It's a privilege. It's a unique blessing. And it's important for us to let go of our consumeristic attitude, our ways that more is always better, our expectations, and to always honor that privilege, to meet that privilege by showing up as with a pure heart and with an intention to make the most of each drop of these medicines. To show up and to make the most, so that these plants are giving their lives to us, and they do it generously, provided we go to them with respect, with humility, each and every time. So I encourage you to show up with that maturity each and every time. If your heart is not fully in it, stay home. Go to a movie. If you see someone around you and you can feel that their attitude is not, these are sacred medicines. If their attitude is not quite mature enough, if they're taking the experience like they're on the playa at Burning Man, have the courage to share your wisdom without judgment, to educate. I'm here to share my experience with you, to tell you that it's possible for you to do the same, to share your wisdom with the people around you. Don't shut up, because in sharing your wisdom, you're actually sharing the medicine that you carry within yourself. And in that, very important to share with people around you the importance of safety, the importance of preparing oneself, the importance of sharing important medical and psychological information with the host or the ceremony leader or the retreat leader, because we co-create safety. Safety is not the responsibility of the leader. That was last millennium's motto. And we're no longer in high school. Yes, we've all had problems with authority that oftentimes prevent us from acting as adults, as responsible adults. These are sacred medicines that ask of us to grow up, to act with discernment each and every time. And as part of that, I invite you from my heart to share your wisdom. Whenever you feel that people are not getting it. Yeah?
Tracy does the work, it's just noise. Can we turn it off, please? That's my wisdom right now.
Maybe the air is blowing from above you, you can't really feel it.
No, it's nothing.
Okay.
Turn it off.
Yeah. Maybe the
I just want to thank everyone for just your patience for participating in a sweat lodge tonight as well.
Extra bonus. Any questions? Yes.
Can you speak a little bit about preparation, if we don't have the opportunity to do the plant diet, just in terms of the dieta and like how to prepare?
Okay, very good. So first of all, the Amazonian model is a model that can be applied anywhere in the world with anything, with our own plants, with rocks. Yes. However, it is a very powerful process, and until you're really familiar with the process, I believe that it's most important that you have someone guiding you through it. I don't encourage anybody to do this alone. As a matter of fact, years ago, and I wasn't exactly a newbie, I dieted a plant that it brought up such challenging themes for me. And my teacher was all over the place, basking in his own glory. And I stopped the diet by myself without even consulting him because I couldn't take it because of the lack of support. Plant diets are very, very strong business. So the preparation I would say is the same preparation for a diet, but also for a retreat. I always tell people, you prepare for as long as the process is going to last, and you're going to keep the same diet for as long as the process lasted afterwards. And I would ask the person that's going to take you through this process or through this ceremony or through this retreat, say, what are the requirements? If they say nothing at all, I would look elsewhere. Yeah. But basically, just to begin with, is simply eating as fresh as possible. That's already huge. Ashley.
Yeah. What types of things have you learned from your different plant friends?
Everything. So, I'll make an example. I decided that I was going to move to the area of Cusco at 10,000 feet of altitude. Cold, not my preferred weather. So I went back to the jungle and I asked my teacher, I said, I want to diet the Chirisanango plant. Chiri actually means cold, so it's the cold plant. And it's believed, it's used oftentimes to re-regulate our inner thermostat. Yeah? I engaged in that diet for 4 weeks. And there comes the blessings of time, of what we offer to the process. After 2 weeks, it went deeper. The process went deeper. And actually what I received from it, the Chirisanango helped me let go of my emotional coldness. So after the physical, then it goes deeper. And it can go as deep as you care to engage in. Another thing, my last diet 2 years ago was dieting the chacruna plant, which was the only plant in my brew that I had not dieted yet. My brew is fairly complex, it's like a medicine chest. And I went in and I said to the plant, I said, I'm not here for visuals. So the chacruna is the one that contains DMT, that gives us visions. I'm like, no, I'm not here. I'm here for deeper vision. And that deeper vision was first because in this, I'm there to learn, but the way that we learn about the healing qualities of plants in a diet is by actually experiencing on our own skin that healing. It's not something like theoretical, oh, I'm good for this and this and that. No, you experience it in your own skin. And by receiving that healing, then you can carry that energy. So that vision, that deeper vision, was first of all to help me look at certain important blind spots. And then the very last ceremony, I felt very complete. I received so much. It helped me look at my blind spots. It also helped me look at some sublime light within myself, some sublime beauty that I had not until then had the courage to embrace. So I went just to say thank you. At some point in the middle of the ceremony, I went outside to these 3 chacruna bushes that I'd been spending a lot of time with over the 3 weeks. And I just went there to just say thank you. And in that moment, it doesn't happen very often. From the bush right in front of me, this ray of blue light comes into my head. I can see my brain lighting up electric blue. Oh, like, oh shit. It lasted a few seconds. The vision stopped. And after that, I received the vision. The vision was without any visuals. And that vision has informed me to this day. It's never going to leave. It's an awareness, a deep awareness of the perfection of everybody's journey, including, of course, mine.
So,
One final question.
Yes.
would it be fair to say, or not fair to say, but would you articulate it like the purpose for shamanic practices is like evolving the species and evolving our consciousness?
Even though I believe that we are in a process of constant evolution, for me, that evolution, that journey, that exploration, is back home to ourselves. So the process is of evolution, but it's really one of remembrance.
Right. Like a fuller introduction to self, sort
Yeah.
of thing. Yeah.
The healing journey is not another escape journey, it's a journey home. And home is where the heart is, and home is also where the hurt is. And if we are willing to meet our own hurt, then we can also meet our own hearts.
Great. Thanks again. Thanks so much. And of course, I have a couple of announcements, and then Xavier will have
Yes.
his. Do you want to say a word about your books for a moment before we wrap up?
So, this is a book on ayahuasca. Many people who have read it have told me, I wish I'd read it before I first drank ayahuasca. So, I invite you to encourage people that you know are getting into this medicine for the first time to read it. They don't have to buy it, they can just borrow it. I'm not in it for the money, but to read it. Very valuable, very simple. Very simple. This book about San Pedro, in all humility, I'm very proud. I'm very proud. It's a very beautiful book. It has a lot of wisdom. It also carries the wisdom of this medicine. It carries the wisdom of the people and the land of the Andes in very simple ways. And it has, for me, the one of the things is that it's about dispelling very common misconceptions about what spirituality and plant medicine are about. And I wish for as many people who are interested in these themes to read it. And they're both $20 each. And I'll be happy to sign it.
Perfect. And we have enough copies here for...
I have got plenty.
And you can sign them?
Yes,
if
yes,
people
I
wish.
can sign them out in the parking lot.
Okay, perfect.
If we need to leave the space before.
Yeah, so we will have to leave the space exactly at 9, latest. Just a couple of quick announcements. So in this room, as mentioned, we meet twice a month for our community integration circle. It's an open event, it's donation-based. We gather and we share from our own experiences about past psychedelic experiences or those that we might be planning on going into. It's basically like a really open and beautiful and very friendly support group, so you're absolutely welcome to join us. To see the schedule, you can go on the Facebook page, the Psychedelic Integration Coach, or on the meetup group, which is called Psychedelic Experience Integration, and you can see the upcoming schedule. The next meeting will be next Wednesday on the 20th, here from 6 to 8. Next month, we have another special event planned. So in July, I started a new course called Creating the Psychedelic Experience. It's a 3-part course where each evening was dedicated to exploring a different aspect of the psychedelic experience. So one evening was all about preparing for psychedelic states. The second part was about navigation skills, so learning how to navigate psychedelic space. And the last part was about integrating psychedelic space. So this will be the second round. The first round was awesome, super proud of it. Is there anyone here who was in the first round and wants to say a word about it?
Yeah, it was invaluable. I mean, you mentioned that you might make it into a book, and you absolutely should. I
want
mean, the
to.
part on navigating the psychedelic space alone was worth the 3 weeks, but preparation and integration were great. I still have those materials, and I've read them over 3 or 4 times.
Thank you, super. Thank you so much. Yeah, I also wrote some material that comes along with every class. I'm so happy that you were able to make it. And so the next one will be in October. And again, for the schedule, please look at the Facebook group. And last but not least, in November for Thanksgiving, I collaborated with Niue Rao, Centro Spiritual. Goodness, I already forgot what it was. It's on the edge of the jungle. My business partner works there, and we collaborated to put together a retreat package that includes not only going into the center and partaking in the 6 ceremonies, 6 ayahuasca ceremonies, and a master plan diet that you get designated by the shaman, who, by the way, Niue Rao Centro Spiritual was just, a whole book was written about this center by Dr. Joe Tafur, who is the founder of the center in Peru. And if you want to read more about the center, you can read the book. It's called Fellowship of the River. You can find it on Amazon. So my partner works there, and she will be leading the group, and I will be here in LA offering, as part of the package, preparation coaching sessions and integration coaching sessions. So the whole package includes prep, the ceremonies, you come back, and then we integrate. And if anyone is interested in more information, there's flyers outside. Yeah, so thanks again, everyone, so much for coming. Thank you, Xavier, a million times. God bless you in your path. Bless all of you on your medicine path and in your journey of growth. And yeah, we have some books for you.
You guys have it online too?
What?
Online, the books.
The books?
Yeah.
The books are available on Amazon, in print, Kindle, and audiobook. The audiobook is recorded with my voice, which I hate.
Is it on Audible?
audiobook.
But is it on Audible on Amazon? Okay. Probably. It's on Amazon?
Probably.
Okay.
Probably.
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 All
I was
right.
like,
Cool.
Audible.
So yeah, they're available on Amazon.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you
again.
so much.